All right, welcome back to another episode of the All American Hoops podcast. If I'm being honest, I don't really know the episode number it is. We were off last week, so losing in my head. But that being said, yeah. So,
What's up?
not much. So, yeah, we literally just got the cameras rolling.
Oh,
And
you guys
yeah,
didn't wait for me, did you?
what was that?
You guys didn't wait for me, did you?
I did not know. But anyway, so yeah, don't know what episode number it is, but however, I do know today's birthdays are happy birthday to Sharif Abdur-Rahim. Apparently he's the best player here, but in the NBA. To Roy Hibbert, Malcolm Brogdon, I'm not the guy who's currently responsible for the with the NBA salary set up today, and Oyeka Unganwu. In football, happy birthday to Jacoby Brissett and Alan Lazard. And in baseball, there's really no one that I saw familiar with except for the new Mets starting first baseman Mark Vientos. So that's the only one that I saw out from there. I can't believe that I said that. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if he's going to be the new Mets starting first baseman. I would imagine if the offseason started, if the opening day was tomorrow, I'd imagine he would be the one starting at first base. But I just can't believe that I did say that out loud.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I really hope that's not the case. I think there's a number of guys I would rather. I mean, I still think that he could get traded. He doesn't really fit the David Stern's defense mold.
Right.
But I don't know. I think we've been surprised quite a bit the past couple of days. So you never know.
Yeah, we sure have been. Yeah. So yeah, obviously we took the week off last week, and this week and this week not really such a busy week in the NBA. So not really much to talk about, but however, still want to dive into a couple of things. And one of them being the baseball free agency. Unfortunately, this time last year, I believe it was like around this date that we did our all-time Mets draft, celebrating the signing of Juan Soto. So that was when vibes were at an all-time high, but now vibes are at an all-time low because unfortunately the Mets have now traded Brandon Nimmo for Marcus Semien, which I was fine with. Obviously it's upsetting to trade the guy who's been with the organization. I don't know how long he's been with the organization for, but I do know he made his opening day debut in 2016. So it's been a long time. I was fine with that move, but it is a little interesting to say the least. And then since then, Tuesday afternoon, Edwin Diaz signed with the Dodgers, and yesterday afternoon, I'll tell you how I found out. I was literally in class. My students are working on something, and my school is let's say they're very strict with the phone policy. But the teachers really aren't. They're more so okay if the kids are doing their work and they're not distracted by it, they'll find a having them out. So I kind of do the same thing. But as I'm walking around, I look across the room. I see one of my students looks me in the eye. He just starts going like this. He points his phone towards me. And then I'm like, what the hell? And then I check and I'm like, Pete Alonso was signed with the Orioles. It was usually it's me breaking news to my students, but it was the first time a student of mine ever broke the news to me, and it was really unfortunate. It was that one. That was the one that happened to be it. So quite devastating to me. But yeah, so that's how I found out that now the Mets are. I don't know if this is true or not. I believe that Nimmo, Diaz, and Alonso were they the three most tenured Mets? I would imagine they were. I don't know if there's anyone else that's currently on the team.
I think they would have to be.
Yeah,
I mean, definitely Nimmo. Alonso was here before Lindor. McNeil probably there.
Was McNeil 2018, 2019? He was probably 2018, honestly. Now that I'm thinking about it, but I don't really remember.
I think he was here before Alonso.
Was he? Okay. McNeil made his debut in 2018. So I don't know which one was drafted first or not. I would assume it was McNeil, but I guess McNeil was second in line, and then I believe that Diaz and then Alonso. Did they make this debut? Within this? Yeah. Diaz was traded to the Mets in 2009. I remember like the trade was official. You were a senior in college. I was a sophomore in college. So I'm remembering that now. So that would have been the winter of 2018, and then but the two of them made their first trade in 2019. Nice pick.
Nice. I'm trying to find a better background. You can see my coat in the blurred one. You can still see it on this one.
Yeah,
I don't know why that's like the main focus. I'm moving.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago. Yeah, I did the show in your room. And I'm pretty sure that like mom got changed in the room or something the day. So one of her dresses, which is in the back the entire episode, and eventually looked back, I was like, oh look, mom's dressed. Like, so there was there the entire episode. But, yeah, your room has turned into a very nice warehouse. Since you've left, I'm sure you can tell based on the crap that's on your desk. But
A lot of stuff, yeah.
So yeah, now that we found out exactly how we found out and like how long each person's with the team for, John, how are you feeling about either of the two losses? You can dive into either one of them if you want.
Yeah, I mean, I think we could just brief overview on the three. I actually like the Brandon Nimmo trade. Not from a fan perspective. I think it's Brandon Nimmo was a fan favorite, and I think that underlying tone of all these moves is that they are all fan favorites in a way, right? Especially Alonso and Nimmo. So it's a tough pill to swallow as a fan. But if you just take yourself out of the fan experience and kind of, or take yourself, don't look at it from a fan perspective and just look at it from a baseball perspective. I think the Nimmo trade was really smart. It opens up a lot of flexibility. I think we were going even when Benj was coming up last year, we were saying, how the hell are they going to make room for this guy? If your corner outfield has been pretty much decided for the next 5 years, the next 14 for Soto. So the Nimmo trade, it made sense from a baseball perspective, even though I don't think Simeon's better than I think Nimmo's better than Simeon. I think it's still just makes sense to free up space. You get 2 extra years of flexibility on the contract. The Edwin Diaz thing, the more stuff that comes out about that, it more just seems like Diaz kind of got a little salty got a little emotional about certain things, and he left for the Dodgers. I can't really fault the Mets for negotiating and saying this isn't our best offer, because why would you? I've seen a lot of Mets fans saying that they would start with their best offer. That's not how negotiating works.
No.
I think they felt comfortable giving him that 66 over 3 and assuming that, he would come back and say, I just got, 69 from the Dodgers. Can you beat that? And then they probably would have. So I think they were much more surprised about Diaz more than anything, I think. And that kind of leads me into the Alonso thing. I think they've known for quite a while that they were not going to bring back Pete Alonso.
Sounds like
I think even Gary Cohen said it, they weren't willing to give Pete 5 years last year at 30 years old. He went through a season, had a really good season, but the worries and the reasons why they wouldn't give him that contract were still there. And why would you give him or why would they change their tune and give him 5 years at 31 now? And you can argue about whether it's right or wrong. I know, I can kind of see it from both perspectives, especially when I put my fan hat on. The reason why you have Steve Cohen as an owner, and I'm sure this kind of, proves that Stearns is calling the shots here, because I'm sure Cohen would be totally fine with giving Pete 5 years. Sometimes you make the wrong baseball move to keep your homegrown players. He could have been an all-time Met. He could have hit 500 home runs. And it stinks as a fan. But at the end of the day, if they don't believe that he's going to age well, first basemen never age well unless your name's Freddie Freeman. They've said it for a while. Their stance has been that they don't think he deserves 5 years. He's regressed tremendously defensively. Again, had a really good offensive year last year, but is definitely streaky at times. And they don't believe he would be part of the future. And you can definitely criticize them for that right now. But I think, at least from our perspective, I think we've been relatively realistic about this offseason so far. Everyone's freaking out because they think this is the roster the Mets are going into opening day with. I think there's still a ton of moves to be made, and there's no reason to believe the opposite. It's still very early in free agency, and baseball free agency goes on for a long time. So, I'm going to give Stearns the benefit of the doubt, at least for the next month or so. And I think we're going to see a lot of good moves, a lot of good improvements made. Maybe a big trade for a big starter, or even another outfielder, or definitely a big bat. There's a lot of holes that they have to fill, but I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt and kind of finish this offseason out.
Definitely agree. And I'm definitely interested to hear in what Matt has to say about all this. Even though we've had multiple conversations at length about this in our baseball group chats. But Matt, how are we doing tonight?
I'm good. I just want to start off by issuing an apology to my boss, Joe. For the last couple days, I've been focusing almost all my attention on the baseball group chat, as you mentioned, firing off all my takes, which, John got into it pretty deep there about Edwin and Pete Alonso. Sorry I was late, so I didn't catch. Oh, wait, before we begin, I'll be drinking out of my Pete Alonso cup today in remembrance.
That is so sad.
Yeah, he was, Pete, I always said he's a fat idiot, but he is our fat idiot, and we love him and miss him. And I wish Pete the best. I'll always be a Pete Alonso fan. So I guess I'll start by talking about Pete. I don't disagree with the Mets for not giving him 5 years. As a fan, personally, I probably would have given him 5 years, but like John said, they didn't do it last year, so why would they do it a year after? I also don't fault Pete Alonso at all for taking the 5 years and taking the more money. I know the Red Sox reportedly offered him 3 years, $85 million, which I'm sure the Mets would have totally offered if they had any shot of competing with the Orioles' 5-year offer. But 31 million or whatever it is a year is a lot of money for a first baseman that is probably going to be a DH in 3 years. I would assume so. But I don't fault him for leaving. I do, however, fault Edwin Diaz for leaving. I didn't expect Edwin to be a massive loser. Usually, he shows guts on the mound, but he did not this offseason. His reason for leaving is because they fired Jeremy Hefner, the pitching coach, and because his brother got DFA'd by the Dodgers. Really upsetting. Obviously, Edwin is, I think, the best closer in baseball, so I am a little bitter that he left. But I mean, I wish he just came out and said, "Yeah, I'm going to the best team. I want to win," instead of being like, "Oh yeah, the Mets fired the pitching coach, did that, did this, did that." But another thing that John said was talking about the roster. Everyone's freaking out. What is it, December 11th? Yeah, the 11th. This won't be the roster that the Mets have on opening day. If it is, I totally understand people's outcry, and I will be joining them in trying to dox David Stearns and lighting Citi Field on fire. But I don't think it is. I know they're definitely going to get at least one more bat to help this lineup out, and hopefully they improve the starting rotation as well and the bullpen. I mean, this team is it's not a major league team right now because, once again, it's December 11th and Stearns wants to blow up the core, which is what he's doing. So we'll see where they go from here.
Yeah, and just one more thing that I wanted to add. I know the big criticism now is, people like to have revisionist history and just short-term memory. People criticize Stearns. He hasn't done anything. What about the Frankie Montas signing? Okay, what about the initial Sean Manaea signing, the Luis Severino signing, Jose Iglesias? Like, do people just forget about that entire 2024 season where all of his pieces that he surrounded this quote-unquote core that everyone loves, and yes, I do love them as, as people and baseball players, but at the end of the day, they have not won a single thing. They have gone on one true playoff run that was surrounded by very good vibes, and it took them down to game 161 to get into that, which, by the way, Edwin Diaz tried his very best to keep them out of the playoffs that year.
Right. So, oh my God, I forgot about that.
It's just, there's a lot of, I get the sentimentality around this core because we've watched them for, the better part of a decade. But when you look at it, like, if you want the Mets to essentially be the East Coast Dodgers or just like a big market team, this is kind of the moves that big market teams make. They don't wait around over 10 years with a core that has not been successful.
That's right. Yeah, I'm gonna dive into all three players because John touched on Nimmo briefly before. I'm someone who and again, I support the trade. I'm someone who has defended Nimmo for the past year now. He obviously eye test wise, he usually looks a little uncomfortable. But that being said, I still do believe he was top 20 outfielder in the league, debatably like a top 5, maybe like 5 to 7 left fielder in the league. So that's someone that you want on the team. But that being said, he just didn't fit the timeline. The Mets are looking to bring up Carson Bange, I believe sometime this year. If not, definitely the beginning of next year. So yeah, he just definitely didn't fit the timeline. So it's good that they got something of value back for him. Marcus Semien isn't really that all-star player anymore, although I think there is a world where where he catches fire and maybe makes the All-Star game. Who knows? But all in all, he's the pure definition of a New York Met. Like very few people, at least in my lifetime, like I truly love playing for the Mets like Nimmo did. Like he might be outside of David Wright and maybe Pete Alonso. And I'm sure there's a couple others we can rattle off. Maybe even Jose Reyes, even though he left the Mets after a little bit. That you can write off. But but very few players love playing for the Mets more than Brendan Nimmo. So we're gonna miss him for the vibes. But that being said, it was time to go, even if I thought that he was better than people thought. For Diaz, yes, Matt, I'm totally with you in that I do think that he's the best closer in the league. But let's and again, this is totally me coping, but I still do believe it. Let's not forget that this is a guy that's obviously like last year for most of the season we trusted him because of how lights out he was, and that was the same thing in 2022. 2019, 2020, 2020. I don't know he was injured for at least one of those seasons, but so many moments just in those seasons, he would load the base. He would just load the bases and then retire the side after that. Which at the end of the day, he would get the job done. But it's not necessarily the best thing that if you're building a contender to have you're the guy who's supposed to close the games always be a heart attack. And I don't know if he blew any games in 2024 against the Phillies, but I do know that in the closer game, I'm pretty sure that he either loaded the bases or he definitely he at least put 2 runners on. I can tell you that.
I think Schwarber was the tying run that was up when he struck out Schwarber in the game.
Was that it? Yeah. It makes sense. Yeah, they won 4-1, I believe. So that's definitely the case. So yeah, obviously we're gonna miss him, but I'm not gonna miss the heart attacks. Like he's better than Jerry Familia was, but at the same time they're very similar in the sense that they're almost guaranteed at least a heart attack to put a runner on every single
Chris,
game.
If you're talking about heart attacks, I have some bad news about Devin Williams. We are going to experience
I know
many heart attacks this year.
I know it's unfortunate, but trying to shed some light on the issue. And obviously Pete Alonso, I mentioned Brendan Nimmo. Yeah, he's another one who been a Met for life. He loved being a Met, and I'm sure this wasn't an easy move for him because obviously he entertained the market last year. It didn't work out for him. But this year he prioritized making money. He prioritized it. And obviously he just prioritized not just money, but also just long-term success as well. Again, I think it was the right move to not give him the 5 years. I feel like after 2 years, it might be I feel like the contract might look a little rough, but yeah. I don't know. I was talking to my students about this today. I don't necessarily think that money is an issue for Stearns. I think he has a hard time committing long term, which maybe that's to a fault. Maybe you want to commit 2 guys a little bit long term. But that being said, you already committed to both Soto and Lindor for Soto's 14 years, and I believe that Lindor's another 7 years probably in addition to this. It's only 6, yeah. So and you also have multiple pitching contracts that are at least 2-3 years as well. So I don't know exactly what he has in mind yet, but I'm holding out hope for him. Like Matt said, it's December 11th, and I believe there is a world where they either make a big move or they make multiple needle mover moves to put them in at the very least NL East contention.
Well, the thing is, we talk about Pete Alonso, that contract's gonna age poorly, but obviously he's still a very good player.
Of course,
you somehow have to. I mean, how many home runs did Nimmo hit last year? 21, was it? 22?
Something like that. He was at 25.
Oh, he was fully at 25. I mean, so you have to replace. I mean, if obviously not going to replace the full close to 65 home runs that Nimmo and Alonso combined for. I think Pete. I just have it up. Pete hit 38 last year, and he led the team in RBIs again last year. You gotta find a replacement for that. I know they're going more towards defense because the Mets defense last year was a lot to be desired, and obviously it wasn't that doesn't fit Stearns' model. But you have to kind of, I don't know, not to use the Moneyball term, but was it replace it in the aggregate or so. I don't know who's going to be their first baseman. I saw a rumor about Jeff McNeil and Paul Goldschmidt platooning.
That's awful.
I would hate that completely. I need Jeff McNeil so far off this team.
Yeah.
I don't think Paul Goldschmidt is it anymore. I know he started off pretty hot with the Yankees last year, but it ended pretty slowly. I think he's still a fine baseball player, but I would like a better and more solid first baseman. I know there was thoughts about trading for Wilson Contreras, who I think fits the Stearns model. He's apparently elite at first base defensively. I didn't know that until the past couple days. I knew he was a good catcher, but elite first baseman, and he's a pretty good hitter. He was above league average hitter. I think his OPS was a little over 120 last year. So I'm all for trading for Contreras.
I really like the Wilson Contreras idea. I think he fits the Stearns model really well. Very, very good defender at first base. I think he had like 6 OAA last year. He's 33. I think he might be turning 34 middle of next season. Above average bat. He's got 2 more years left on his contract. I think it's a perfect fit and a good solution where you're not going to replace Alonso, right? There's no player out in the league that hits 40 home runs and plays first base. And, for lack of a better phrase, stinks at defense. Like, you might as well have just signed Pete then. It's like there's no other Pete Alonso out there. So, Matt, like you said, you have to kind of replace his offensive production with multiple players while also getting better defensively. So I'm really excited about that idea. I really hope that that happens. And I think there's so many, and I've seen this with Stearns and with Cohen specifically. The free agent stuff gets leaked because they're dealing with Boris, who just leaks everything he wants to John Heyman. And free agency, the player is always going to leak stuff for like leverage. But with trades where both teams kind of don't really benefit from leaking information, they're pretty tight-lipped. Like, no one knew about the Brandon Nimmo trade. And I think that there's going to be there's going to be quite a few trades like that where we don't really know or see what's coming. And I think our dad's been saying it for a while. This team's going to look a lot different. They're going to get better defensively. And, I think, there are concerns overall, just with Stearns, in my opinion, with unwillingness to, spend like a big market team to give out, quote unquote, like the bad contract. And I think that's part of that is good, right? You'll never have to worry about him giving out a stupid contract, but sometimes you do kind of, have to bite the bullet on the last couple of years of a contract in order to, go all in on it for this year. I think you might see something like that with hopefully Scooble, but we'll see.
That'd be sweet if they got Scooble.
Yeah.
Do you think they go after a bat or a arm first? I know they checked in with a couple bullpen guys like Tyler Rogers. I overheard you guys talking about. Were you talking about? I overheard it through the wall when I was walking in. Were you talking about Tyler McGill or Trevor McGill?
We didn't bring up either of the McGills.
Oh, maybe I misheard wrong. I saw just a tweet, and there's no substance behind it, but the Mets were interested in Tyler McGill's brother, Trevor McGill, as the closing, or I guess he would be the setup man for Williams, but I don't know if he would be the closer and Williams would be the setup guy. Either way, I would love that as a 1-2 punch in the 8th and 9th inning. I'm not sure what they go after next, but I hope they make a move soon, just to kind of quiet us down, quiet the fan base up, shut the fan base up.
I think the most interesting thing. Sorry, Chris, you can go ahead.
Okay. Oh, yeah. I was going to say, the next available are relievers. So, see, Luke Weaver from the Yankees is available. After that, it's a pretty big. Brad Keller from the Cubs.
Pete Fairbanks is pretty good.
Yeah. Tyler Rogers, Pete Fairbanks is on CBS Sports, by the way. And that's it. Yeah, Steven Matz was ranked 50th out of the free agents, and he's how crazy would that have been if they brought him back after all these guys leaving? Like, there's this. Go John. You had something else to say?
I think the most polarizing and the biggest topic now is Cody Bellinger. Really interested to see what they do with that. I think it's a very interesting player that I've gone back and forth on. I think someone's going to overpay him so much. He's a Boris client Pete just got 155, and I think Boris did that on purpose to kind of bait one of the Mets or the Yankees to overpay for Cody Bellinger. But I think Cody Bellinger is going to get more years and more money than Pete Alonso, which, depending on what you value in baseball, does he deserve that? I'd say, he's younger. And if you look at it, Cody Bellinger is really good defensively. Like, he has very good fielding metrics. He can play both outfield and first base, which is like two glaring, gaping holes for the Mets. But the problem is, like, would you rather have given Pete 5 years for 155 or Cody Bellinger like 6 for, or maybe, let's say 7 years for 180, 190? Because I think that's what he's going to get. Like, he's, a career over 800 OPS guy. He just hit 30 home runs, albeit in Yankee Stadium. I think if he comes to Citi Field, he'll probably hit like 25. So you're pretty much just getting like a little bit better of a bat than Brandon Nimmo and a better glove for a significantly large contract. But like I said, I think the value of Bellinger is his defensive versatility and skill.
Yeah, there's also another free agent that can play outfield and first base, not as well, but it's Kyle Tucker, who's just more of an elite bat than Bellinger. I mean, I think if you go after, which he's going to make more money than Bellinger, but I mean, I guess that's the point of having Steve Cohen as the owner, so you can go after these guys. But if I was to choose, I would take Tucker over Bellinger. I don't know if that's I think that's kind of the consensus from everyone, but I think Cody Bellinger is kind of, I keep saying he fits the Stearns model. He's a David Stearns type player, like you said, John, defensive versatility, and they keep using the term run prevention. He fits that mold as well. But yeah, I would like either of those guys. I think if you don't get either of those guys, you have to trade for an outfielder at that point, or trade for a first baseman at least. But yeah, I think one of those two guys has to be on the opening day roster next year.
I don't think Tucker's that good defensively, which is like,
yeah, he had last 2 years at least. I checked his baseball savant; he was negative and outs above average.
Okay,
which it's frustrating, but you are getting a far better bat than Nimmo. But is that worth, again, another 8-year deal for this guy who's probably going to be Brandon Nimmo in 3 years?
Yeah,
right.
And the thing is, you already have Soto in one of the corner of the in the right field corner. So if you
and that's why you got rid of him in the first place, is because of I'm looking at it now. Yeah. Tucker in the past, so -2 to -4. So it's been a pretty steep decline as far as it goes for. That's about above average. I don't know what it is for DRS, but I'm imagining it's not really that better. That's that much better there. But yeah. Is Bellinger really going to get 7 years? I feel like teams aren't going to be willing to gamble on that because he had such a hot start to his career and then took a step back and he's been better. But I feel like 7 years is a lot to commit to for a guy that's already 30.
I think the Yankees are probably holding steady at 6, and if a team wants to get Bellinger, they go to 7.
Right.
But if no one else goes past 6, he'll probably just go back to the Yankees.
Probably, yeah.
This guy, Emmanuel Burberry, I think he's just WFAN guy. So I think the All American Hoops podcast has the same sources as WFAN does. He said the Mets could say tomorrow, Cody Bellinger 7-year contracts, the Yankees would bow out. So it looks like the Yankees wouldn't go up to 7 years, but it's like, would you go up to 7 years with Bellinger right after you don't give Diaz 4 or Pete 5 years? So,
because Bellinger, he's definitely looked at again as more valuable than Alonso.
Yeah,
with positional versatility and defense, but Pete is a significantly better bat, in my opinion.
Yes,
he's definitely a better bat.
So I think if you're going to do something like trade for Contreras, I don't think you sign Bellinger because then you have Contreras at first, Bellinger in left. I don't think those two come close. While they, kind of smoke Nimmo and Alonso out of the water defensively, they don't come close to the offensive production. So I think my kind of number one, if I were to like rank what I would want them to do, I think getting someone like Contreras at first should be like a priority. And if you do that, then the issue you run into there is like I would want them to trade for an outfielder at that point, not give Bellinger that much. But then you're looking at 2 trades to upgrade 2 positions, and you still haven't even talked about the rotation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's crazy. I would imagine they're going to sign one of these guys because there's just so many of them. But Joe Ryan, Michael King.
I can see Michael King. I feel like they've liked him for a couple of years.
Valdez.
I don't want Valdez.
Me neither.
Valdez is asking for many years too, and I mean he's a big ground ball pitcher, which would be awesome with Simeon and Lindor. But I mean he seems like he's kind of like
And even
a bad
Beatty,
teammate. His playoff numbers are very horrible too.
His numbers last year in the regular season weren't even that impressive either.
I would love. I don't think they get like 2 of those big name starters. Out of like the Kings, Ryans, Freddie Peraltas, of the world. But if you give me one of Freddie Peralta, Joe Ryan, or Michael King, I'd be very pleased.
What about what's his name? However you say his name, Tatsuya Amai.
Is that the Japanese guy?
I think he's looking for a lot of years too.
I think so too.
I haven't heard anything about him
Me
as of late. Like I don't know what teams are interested in him or what's going on with that.
I mean, I would imagine the Dodgers are high on the list, but I don't know if that's the thing. Oh yeah, and then Zach Allen didn't sound with anyone yet, right? It doesn't say so in CBS Sports at least. So yeah, I feel like he'd be higher on the list, but maybe not. Yeah. Well, I texted this yesterday. I'm pretty sure it's safe to say that like this isn't the worst sports year ever for us as far as it goes for Kingdom, but as far as it goes for like gut wrenching, it's got to be. I can't remember another one that was worse. If I'm being honest, like obviously between Tatum getting injured, then losing to the Knicks, the Mets completely collapsing after June, and then 3 franchise players dipping, and the Giants stink as well. Like obviously Jackson Dart is probably like the best thing that's happened as far as it goes for. As far as it goes for like the franchise turning around, but 2025 sucks, man.
Yeah, I mean, starting from the bottom, I think you would probably put the Giants, who, it's kind of the status quo now. Unfortunately, they're just a terrible team. But honestly, the Giants probably showed the most promise. I would say getting a franchise quarterback is like one of the more rare things in sports. And just like kind of expecting them to be bad and have a terrible record is, I guess, plays a factor in that too.
That's definitely factored in. Like obviously, like they're the worst team out of the 3, but also, like you said, drafting a franchise quarterback is the best sign, and also just adjustments for expectations. Like we were expecting the Celtics to make the to at the very least make the finals. If it could make the finals, and they don't go past the second round. In addition to the franchise player getting injured. And we're going to talk plenty about that in a second, but yeah, and then and you can. I mean, I guess the biggest disappointment would obviously be the Mets, because we obviously had expectations of the world with getting Soto and basically just bringing everyone else back, and then everyone else was just awful this year. So who knows though? All right, so I was thinking maybe we could we can either just go straight to the Celtics, or I could just go through like 5 or 7 free agents, and you guys can just tell me where you think they're going to sign. Yeah, why don't we do that just quick?
Yeah.
All right. So where's Kyle Tucker signing?
The Dodgers.
Actually, you're just saying that?
I think that's. I mean, he's talking to him. I think it's a very big possibility.
Okay.
I think Kyle Tucker could go to the Yankees. I think they showed a ton of interest in him in the trade market last year before the Cubs traded for him. And I do see that his contract expectations are kind of dwindling down. I think middle of last season, people were expecting him to get that 11-year, $400 million deal. It's looking a lot more like closer to a $7 or $8 year deal for let's say like high twos maybe. So I could see the Yankees doing that. I'm trying to think of other teams that would be willing to spend. Maybe even the Blue Jays. You know what? I'm going to say the Blue Jays for Kyle Tucker. I see that more likely than the Yankees.
I'm going to go with the Houston Astros.
Okay,
they already brought back Carlos Correa. Why not bring back Kyle Tucker? Especially, they did make the playoffs last year. Saying like, let's bring back the core that we had a ton of success with. Why would we change anything else up? Like, let's go back to what we were comfortable with.
Yeah.
Even though I don't think you can afford him at this point, but who knows? I think Cody Bellinger is next on the list. If not that, he's not next on the list. But we could do Cody Bellinger next.
I think Bellinger is going to sign with the Mets.
Yeah.
I think he's just a very good fit for what they need, and I think not that the Mets are panicking or anything like that, but I think Cohen, he's been very hands off. I think he might step in and say, "Listen, we might have to take on a couple extra years or pay a couple extra $1 million more to get him," and I think that's what they would do.
Yeah, I think the Mets are definitely my pick for where Bellinger goes. I think the contract is going to look pretty gross in my opinion. I think he's going to get a lot more than people think. I wouldn't even be surprised if he gets close to $200 million, which is crazy. But he is like his value is like apparent. Like we could poke holes in his offensive game. I think that it's pretty clear that not clear, but I assume that his numbers will drop off in Citi Field. But his value comes from his versatility and his defense, and I think that's exactly what Stearns wants.
I agree. Alex Bregman.
Chris, you said the Houston Astros earlier. I think he might go back to Houston.
Maybe.
I think they might bring the unction back together. I saw a report that he regrets not opting in to the Red Sox deal. I don't know if that kind of makes it awkward to sign back for less money for them. So I think that's why they are out. So I think he's going to be an Astro.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say it's possible he signs back with the Red Sox. But I think it's interesting because, like you said, it doesn't make it a little more awkward to renegotiate a cheaper deal. Or it doesn't make it easier to just be like, okay, we're not going to give you, $40 million over the next two, but we'll give you or $80 million over the next two, but we'll give you like 100 over the next four or 100 over the next, whatever. So I guess I'll guess the Red Sox just because I'm not really sure who else is going to, honestly, if the Mets didn't trade for Simeon, I think they probably would have signed him already. That would have been a really good fit to put him at second base. But yeah.
I'll probably say the Red Sox too, just because I don't know the market for him, and I feel like he might just fall back on them in this time like this. But
Alex Bregman just followed Dansby Swanson on Instagram earlier tonight, and the Mariners also checked in on Bregman. So two possible teams, Cubs and Mariners.
Yeah, the Cubs would be interesting. Yeah,
I could totally see the Cubs doing that.
It'd be a good defensive left side of the infield.
Yeah,
Swanson and Bregman.
Bo Bichette. I'm just gonna say off the bat, he's the most Blue Jays player ever. You just look at him. He plays for the Blue Jays, and I feel like all the Blue Jays fans love him. I would be shocked if they didn't give him a big deal.
Yeah, I think they get him back.
Yeah. And last one, I don't want to do Valdez. I feel like I want to do someone else, but
the free agent class really isn't that strong after the
no,
first
it's not. Yeah,
games, and that's why I think they gotta make some trades.
Assuming that Realmuto is going to stay with Philly.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. I guess we'll do. Just do Michael King for the last one. He was the first starting pitcher up.
Is he a free agent, or they have to trade for him?
I think he's a free agent. Yeah, he's a free agent.
I thought they had to trade for him. If he's a free agent, I want him on the Mets so bad.
Yeah.
I can't say the Mets for both because that'll make me be too biased. So hold on.
But they have to. They have to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see him on the Mets. I could also see, be annoying the Dodgers could get him. His contract will be big, but he was already on the Yankees at one point. Maybe the Yankees go get him back again. So couple options there. I hope he's a Met though. I would love Michael King.
That'd be very nice.
Yeah, I would like Michael King. The only concern is health, right?
Yeah.
But I think you can't really approach free agents like that too often.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I'm gonna guess the Mets for that one because I think they need to, like Matt said, they need to sign one of those three that he mentioned earlier. Even if you trade for Skubal, I still think you have to make it. You sign.
You need to get. You need at least one more.
Because if you go in Skubal and then you say, oh well, we have McLean, great, yeah, he's awesome. But then what? You're relying on Manaea to bounce back. You're relying. I know they're going to probably trade Peterson, but you're relying on Peterson. And
are they
going
to trade Senga? I've seen conflicting reports. Are they going to trade Senga or not? Because I don't know. You're paying him a lot of money. So.
I think
neither would I. But yeah,
he's
you wouldn't trade Senga?
No, I just think it's solely because he's at his lowest possible value ever, and he's only worth $14 million this year. So what do you I don't think you can get anything for him.
Maybe you can get a new copy or something. That'd be an awesome return.
Yeah. All right. Good stuff. So if you were to tell me, I guess around Matt's birthday, May 14th, that this time of year we would be celebrating the Celtics and being devastated over the Mets, I would have told you were crazy because the Mets were looking hot. They were we were figuring even if they weren't looking hot at the moment that they were going to turn things around because of how talented the team was, and that we'd be celebrating the Celtics even with Tim's torn Achilles. But that being said, the Celtics are looking awesome, and Jason Tatum is. Every week it feels like he's coming out with the new workout video that makes me want to run through a wall. So Celtics are currently sitting at 15-9, and I believe they're up 7. So the lead's cut down a little bit on the Bucks with 3 minutes to go in the half, and I believe they're 2 games behind the Knicks for second place in the East. So out of the three of us, I was probably the lowest on the Celtics, but I wasn't low on them as far as but I was negative on them being low. I was saying they're not going to be good because of their big man rotation, and that's okay. There's going to be a gap here and everything. But Joe Mazzulla and Jaylen Brown and Peyton Pritchard, Derek White, all of them said no, screw that. We're gonna win as many games as we can. I know it's only 24 games into the season, so just a little more than a quarter way into the season. There's still plenty of time to tank. Even especially if things go south after the All-Star break. But especially Jaylen Brown's definitely the MVP of the team so far, and probably will continue to be. But everyone's brought in, and that's always great for culture, whether or not you get a good draft pick or not. So, Matt, what are your thoughts so far on this team?
Yeah, I'm very pleasantly surprised with this team right now. You said they're sitting at 15-9. I took their over in our over/under pod episode. I think it was at 41.5. So I expect them to be slightly over 500. I didn't expect them to be the 3 seed in the East. Granted, like you said, early in the year, but they just, I feel like they're just playing so well. And on the Bill Simmons pod the other day, he mentioned that literally everybody on this team has something to play for, has something to prove. Can Jaylen Brown be a number 1? Can Kata be a real starter and play starter minutes? Can Derek White be a legit number 2 option? Can Peyton Pritchard be a starting point guard? Everyone's playing hungry, and can Joe Mazzulla be a real coach without a loaded roster? And so far, all those answers are yes. I'm super, super surprised about how well Neemias Queta has been playing. Granted, their big man depth is still a valid concern, and I think that is an issue that they need to address if they're going to be serious about contending this year in the playoffs. But with all this being said, it all comes back to when/if Tatum is coming back this year. I believe it's more when instead of if. But even with Tatum back, I think the roster needs some improvements in order to contend in the East. I think the East is super weak. I think they can contend with the Pistons. I think you need some changes to contend with the Knicks, even though I don't think it's as big of a gap as people think it is. But the West is just super loaded. I don't think this roster, even with Tatum, could compete with a Denver or can compete with an Oklahoma City. So, I mean, you could go out and get a big guy like Zubac, like that has been like slightly rumored. But we'll see what happens. But so far, I'm super happy with how they've been playing.
Yeah, I think it's been a fun season. I think they were, we like to joke around and say they were bad for about a week, and even that week where they lost like 3 games, they started off 0-3, right? And like I think those 3 games they lost like down the stretch, which I think we're kind of almost used to as Celtics fans. But they've really turned it around. I think they've won 5 in a row, looking to go on 6 tonight against Milwaukee. I think we always thought that they were going to be like a bubble team, not, maybe we didn't take into consideration a number of things. Like Joe Mazzulla is a good coach. Jaylen Brown can be a number 1 option. Derek White is, kind of seems to be settling into that number 2 role. He took him a little bit to get adjusted to it. But they're playing with slow pace. They're still jacking up a ton of threes, which leads to, a top 3 offense in the NBA. And then I think we also didn't really consider how bad the East truly is. Especially without Giannis, after the Knicks and the Pistons, it's, there's a pretty steep drop off if you even get past the Celtics. So I'm really excited. I do think that I agree with Matt. They do need to make them, if they want to contend for a championship this year, you have to get Tatum back. We can talk a little bit more about when that we think that would be. But I think if you want to come out of the East, you have to make a trade for a big man. Cade has been really impressive this year, but once he's not somebody that you can rely on for 42 minutes in a playoff game.
No.
So I think Zubac would be a perfect fit. It'd be very exciting. Maybe get off that Simons contract. And Brad seems to have done it again. He loaded this roster with guys who can play, who can win. And Simons is one of those guys who is a tradable contract if you want to make money work for a player, if you wanted to upgrade. But I'll ask you guys, what do you think? Do you think we get Tatum back anytime soon? It seems to be sooner than we thought.
I'm thinking that we get him just after All-Star break is what I'm thinking. I know the one doctor tweeted out today, which Twitter doctors can be very much have a wide range of opinions. That's why, not to get political, even though this isn't political at all. Like I definitely like to talk to actual doctors rather than doctors on the internet before getting anyone's opinion.
Please keep politics off this pod.
Yeah. The second week in a row that we had politics, but this time it's by me, not by TCal. Shout out TCals. It's just but. It's based on just looking at the way that Tatum has been playing in the highlight, which again I know. Highlight reels, like workout films, can mean anything. You can edit things, you can make things look better in certain ways. But Tatum looked like he hasn't lost a beat, and but I'm interested to see like what exactly happens, and like if by All-Star break is this team still gonna be at the top of the East? Because just to play devil's advocate real quick, I believe they're only a game and a half out of the play-in tournament as well. So so technically they're closer to the play-in seed than they are to the second seed, which isn't a bad thing at all. But it's just something to consider before making any such judgment, saying like, oh crap, let's bring back Tatum. This team can contend. But I don't know. Like I'm already preparing to fight for my life when the Celtics inevitably, when Tatum comes back and the Celtics go on like a couple game skid where they look slightly worse with Tatum than without him. So that's which I know. Which luckily I'm not the one running the team because that's something I'd be thinking about. But I'm thinking maybe just after All-Star break is what I'm thinking.
Yeah. The thing is, like I said, like I don't think with this current roster you can beat one of the loaded teams in the West. So I think that's why like you can't don't rush back if you're Tatum. Obviously easier said than done. I think if the Celtics allowed Tatum to play tonight, he would try to give you 15 minutes off the bench. But I want to, before we move on from the Celtics, I want to just take this time John mentioned Brad did it again. He also did it again with it seems like the Jordan Walsh pick is he's finally developing into a very, very solid two-way player. They kind of have like a three-headed monster, same type of player with Josh Minot, Jordan Walsh, and Ugo Gonzalez. Just wings that get up under you, get up in your grill. Offensively, they're not as gifted as like Jaylen Brown. Obviously, they're not going to give you like 20 points or a night, but they can shoot at a respectable clip. I know Minot kind of creates his own shot better than Walsh and Ugo, but Walsh has been taking massive strides offensively, and it's he's been inspiring me. I think that game versus the Sixers where he guarded Maxey at the end for a couple possessions, and then I forget who they played the next night. Was it the Knicks? The next night he guarded Karl Anthony Towns a couple possessions. Just very he's very versatile defensively, and John has been saying this for weeks. It's just wings that can defend and won't take shots away from Derek White, from Jaylen Brown, from Jason Tatum when he's back. So it's just huge, important role guys that the Celtics always seem to have on their teams. And going into this year, we didn't know who they were going to be, and I'm happy a couple guys are taking the jump.
Couldn't agree more. So, okay, yes. So my prediction is after All-Star break. Matt, what's your prediction for when Tatum comes back?
When is the All-Star break?
February 8th?
No, it's usually around Valentine's Day. So it's probably maybe like February 14th is when it usually is.
I'm going to say a little bit later. I'm going to say into March.
Okay.
Early March.
I think he's coming back pre-All-Star break.
Okay.
January 31st.
All right.
I don't even know
Sounds
if
good to
they
me.
play January 31st. Hold on. Let me pull up a Celtics schedule so I can get an actual date on
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, and because he did say he ideally wants to come back here for a home game as well. So,
Okay, so I'm actually going to change mine to January 30th,
all right.
which
Sounds
is
good.
a Kings at Celtics game.
Okay, that's cool.
We should go to Boston that day.
Yeah, that'll be a good trip.
We should actually see. I bet you if you go on like TickPick or something, see if like a random home game
Is more expensive.
has like more expensive, and see if we can pick it out from there.
Oh, that's
But
interesting.
that would be pretty cool if we get him back a lot. And by the way, there's going to be a lot of Celtics fans that are concerned about him rushing back. I'm not.
I'm not concerned at all anymore.
Like he knows him and the doctors who get paid millions of dollars know better
Yeah.
than some jackass on Twitter. So
yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So while we're looking up ticket prices, and I've already texted you guys about this, but I really haven't like talked to you guys a lot about this. But I did make a post today about my trip to New York on Tuesday afternoon, in which I went to the House of Highlights studio to talk about a few things. So before I do that, I just want to talk about my actual full experience and tell you the entire story because it was the most chaotic day I've had in a very long time. So yeah, so I'm not going to go too deep into detail, but I was dressed in a suit for an event before. And then and then after that, I had in my mind, I'm like, okay, so I need to just find a place to get dressed and then do that, and I'll figure that out once I get into the city. As I'm about to leave for the event, I realize, crap, I didn't pack a pair of sneakers. In which for those of you who watch the 1 fan versus 10 haters events, you see like all the guys. It's not formal at all. Like they wear like the dress code is where your best tailgate outfit. So like, yeah, guys, it's usually just like a nice like jersey and jeans and like anything else. So that's what I had in mind. But I only had dress shoes on, and I even looked up on ChatGPT ahead of time. I said, can these go well with jeans? And then they said no. So that was quite unfortunate. But then, however, John disagreed with that. But I feel like he maybe just saying that to me just to be nice in the moment, and that I wasn't stressing out. But anyway, you're muted, by the way.
that's the New York City dress code is jeans and dress shoes.
Yeah, I would imagine that you know more than ChatGPT in this sense, even though Dad might disagree. But it's but yes. So anyway, yeah. So I'm like, okay. So I still have plenty of time. Like by the time I would have gotten to the city, I was still like an hour and a half left. So I'm like, yeah, I can just go to a shop, no problem. My plan was to get to the city and just like sit in a Barnes Noble and just relax for an hour, but that didn't happen because I drive to the parking garage, which I had the reservation for, I get there. This happens all the time in the city. By the way, the guy said, "Oh, we're full," and I felt like Jerry Seinfeld in that one episode. I said, "Like, what do you mean you're full?" Like, it was the opposite of like renting a car, but it still said like, "What do you mean I have a reservation? Oh, I know how reservations work." I don't think you do. The whole point is that is you put the reservation in. Anyone can just take the reservation. So that's really what I felt when I pulled in. So anyway, I'm stressing out about that. So then I go back into Spot Hero. I plug in the address for the studio. I'm like, okay, good. It was more extensive, but it was still closer to the studio. So that ended up working out well. And on the way to the parking garage, I was on the phone with Olivia, and then like I was talking about the sneaker incident. She said, "Oh, there's a Target like right near the studio. Like you should be able to get something there." I'm like, "Oh, great." So, so I parked the car near the studio. And then I walk into the Targets. I say to the person in the front, I'm like, "Hey, where are your sneakers?" "Oh, we don't have sneakers." Okay, so I walk back out in the freezing cold, by the way, in my jacket and tie. So which no, I didn't have my jacket on. Actually, I just had my regular coat on over the button down because I didn't want to be carrying around a suit all day. So then I plug into my phone sneaker stores, and Foot Locker finally came up, which I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to overspend the hell out of this. But then so then after that, I walk to the Foot Locker. I just say to the people up front, I said, I don't like. I just want. I literally. It was like the first time I ever did anything like this. I'm like, guys, I want something quick. It's just quick and cheap. And then they're like, oh yeah, just go to the first sales section in the back, which I ended up doing. Got a very nice set of sneakers, by the way. So yeah, I was very happy with the sneakers that I got. So that's one good thing that came out of the day. And then as I'm buying the shoes, I say, hey, do you have a dressing room? They're like, oh no, we don't. So I'm like, okay, so I'm just gonna go get changed in the Wendy's bathroom next door. I get this and I'm giving way too many details here, but like it's still pretty entertaining. So I walk in, I talk to the janitor in the back. I say, hey, is that bathroom individual or is it group? He said, oh, you need to go up front to get a buzzer. I'm like, no, I'm not ordering food. It's for the bathroom. He's like, yeah, you need a buzzer to go to the bathroom. Okay, I'm like, okay, that's the first time I've ever heard that. But then so then I walk up to the front. I say to the cash register, not cash register, whatever you call the counter. I say, hey, I need to go to the bathroom. She's like, oh yeah, I just need to knock on the door. I don't need a buzzer. No, you don't need a buzzer. Okay, so yeah, so these are the things that are just like a million factors that are going into my mind throughout this entire goddamn day. But then yeah, after a little bit, I got changed in the bathroom. Threw my suit in my backpack, so like I need to take that to the dry cleaners for sure. And then it's about 20 minutes. There's about like I need to be there in about 20 minutes. It's a 7-minute walk. So I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna order some chicken tenders, shove it down my throat, and then walk to the studio, which is exactly what I ended up doing. And like I said, I was literally just planning on having like a cup of tea and just like reading my notes before in Barnes and Nobles, but here I was just scarfing down Wendy's right before this, so that was lovely. Yeah, get to the studio and get there home free. It was, and after that, everything went perfectly smoothly. Everyone there was awesome. Got to meet a couple people. Met a couple people that I've already met that like I've interacted with online, so that was really cool. It was what I went for. Yeah, like this part I'm fine with saying it with that loud. Like, yeah, I can't really add much to it because I signed the NDA, but I did partake in the Jokic one. As one of the Jokic haters. Right before me was the Mellow haters one. So like as I was walking in, like they were still recording that. So it was like pretty cool hearing like that before that. But yeah, I got to meet a couple people there. Got to met someone that I've had on the podcast before. So that was awesome. That was really awesome. And yeah, and then afterwards, like the entire group just vibed for a little bit. Yeah, took a few pictures, and it was a great first time experience of doing anything like this in person. Like obviously, I've been doing this journey for closer to 2.5 years now at this point, but and now I'm doing this in person. So it was very cool, and I'm very happy that I got to do it, even if I didn't have to debate someone that I'm actually a huge fan of. So it was quite the experience.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously the pictures you showed us. I don't know if you can show that here because the NDA or whatever. But the pictures you showed us looks sweet. It's just a shame you had to be the. Did you specify if you were Jokic?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I was one of the Jokic haters.
Yeah, that's a shame because we're not a Jokic hater podcast, but and it's definitely hard to argue against him.
It is, and it's crazy because so there's two different studios. So like one of them was the main one, the other one was the waiting room. So all the haters were hanging out in the waiting room beforehand. And And then one of them said like, "Oh, I feel like Jokic is one of the easier superstars to hate on." I'm like, okay, I don't think that's true at all. He's one of the harder ones. But I guess if you, I guess it's easier for the casual fan because they could just say, like, oh, he plays no defense and he's boring to watch and all that. So like that part is easy. But like if you actually want to partake in like actual basketball discord, he's absolutely one of the harder ones to argue against. Yeah. So that episode's going to be coming out. They didn't tell us when. They said, yeah, I know like the couple that I've seen usually take like about a month and a half probably, but they also said like they might wait to see if they if he's like trending like another day, like the MVP combo sparks back up. Who knows? But it was pretty damn fire.
Nice.
Yeah. But yeah, I told John and Matt earlier today, like I kept on forgetting to text them because like it was mainly because I wanted to come up with an agenda before telling them. I'm like, you know what? It's been a long week for all of us. I'm feeling very physically sick myself, so I'm like, let's just talk about the Mets and the Celtics and bullshit about them for an hour, and that's exactly what we did. So, we did something similar to that back in March. It was where like we also did about the Giants and St. John's as well. Which, maybe we could do St. John's another day, but we'll definitely have to bring Porzimba back on for that show as well. But yeah, anything else? Anything else on your mind, guys? Yeah,
I don't think so. I'm trying to think. I think we covered everything.
Yeah,
I'm excited for an emergency pod when the Mets trade for Scooble later tonight.
That's right.
Oh, jeez. What do you think the rule of that is? Because I know that Simmons did his emergency pod like on Saturday into Sunday morning, but then he still did his Sunday night pod with Rosillo right afterwards. So I want to say like maybe 12 hours is an appropriate grace period for like doing emergency pods. What do you think? Because obviously, if they trade him in 45 minutes, we're not going to do another emergency pod. But like, what do you think? Is 12 hours a good grace period? Or like, I don't know the unspoken rules.
Yeah, I would say 45 minutes to 12 hours. Anywhere between that is a good grace period.
Yeah,
good to know. All right, awesome. Yeah, well, John, Matt, thanks for coming on relatively short notice. We didn't really have much planned, but we still made it work, even though it was very, very low key. But yeah, this has been another episode of the All American Hoops podcast. Be sure to follow me on those social media platforms. You can see whatever I pointed. Down there, bottom right. At All American Hooper on Instagram and TikTok, and at American Hooper on Twitter. Which, by the way, I'm pretty sure that I've seen speculation that they might be switching back to Twitter in a little bit. So hopefully those rumors are true. Check out my additional content. NBA Max on Wednesday nights. Yeah, Tony, Jalen, Ori, and I had a great episode last night. We dissected into the MJ versus Shea debate, into MJ versus Shea seasons. And also check out my column on primetimesportstalk.com, in which every other week I've been doing my bi-weekly rankings, and I'll be continuing on with that this upcoming Monday. So yeah, it's been a very interesting NBA season for sure, and been very fun diving into them. Anyway, this has been another episode of the All American Hoops podcast. I'm Chris Driscoll. Until next time, keep grinding and stay hooping. Have a great night, everyone.